Aloha, I'm Yenji Denise. Welcome to Get Your House in Order, where we help you take care of the things that matter most. In this series, we cover a wide range of topics from health and wellness to financial readiness and preparing for every phase of life. Today, we are focusing on veterans in Hawaii and making sure they get the most out of their benefits, particularly when it comes to elder and in-home care. We begin, as always, with Paulette Ito, Senior Vice President at Hawaiian Financial Federal Credit Union. Now, Paulette, according to the latest census data, there are over 100,000 veterans here in Hawaii. That's a lot of folks who are eligible for those benefits.
Absolutely. You know, Hawaii does have a heavy military population, and oftentimes they'll choose to come back to Hawaii or even stay in Hawaii. And so we do have a lot of our population that has opportunity for veteran benefits.
Yeah, so tell us about how this fits in with the Get Your House in Order campaign and the Ho'okele guidebooks.
What we've been learning about Get Your House in Order is that not many people really don't know what they have, especially say with their wills and trusts or different things of that nature, but also with their benefits and their retirement benefits. And veterans, it seemed like that was a big part of it as well. Many people didn't know what they were eligible for or what they could get.
Wow, okay, so we are now on the fourth phase of the guidebook. Tell us what's covered in this one.
Get Your House in Order, Season 4, Ho'okele 1.4, talks about miscellaneous. It's about things that it wasn't the past, it wasn't the future, it wasn't the present, but things that didn't really fit, such as getting remarried or bucket list items, maybe clubs or social activities, things that you wanted to do, but you didn't really have a bucket that you wanted to put it in.
Yeah, and when you look at the guidebook and what we've seen so far, it's really an organization tool. And when we're talking about this benefits, I mean, getting organized really is the key to making sure that you have what you need to qualify.
Right, but sometimes you don't know what you don't know. So Get Your House in Order and the Ho'okele guidebook is a roadmap to say, hey, did you think about this or this? And so it helps you to really open up your mind and expand all the things that could help you thrive.
And where should folks go to learn more?
HiFiCU.com, GYHO.
Okay, GYHO, Get Your House in Order. I love it. All right, thank you so much for being here. Coming up next, we're going to speak to a woman who helps families get the in-home care they need for themselves or their loved ones. What she says veterans need to know. But first, let's meet someone whose experience shows us why being organized and having a plan can make all the difference.
Hi, my name is Steven. I'm from Honolulu, Hawaii. I served in the Army and the Army National Guard. I'm retired now. I guess my message for any soldiers out there who's currently serving, most important thing is from day one, if you're injured and you happen to go to the medical center or a TAMC, they call them, make sure you keep a physical copy of those documentation. Because when it comes time to retiring or getting out and you're going to try and register for benefits with the Department of Veterans Affairs, it's really important for you to have physical proof for your claims, and they will ask for them. So just keep that in mind. Another thing, when you apply for your benefits, make sure you know what you're applying for. You can get help from outsources like the Wounded Warrior Project, the Department of Legion Affairs. They will all help you through that process. Again, really important for you to keep that documentation. I will repeat it again.
For all your money needs, Hawaiian Financial Federal Credit Union is here for you. Visit HIFICU.com. Bringing you what matters. Viewers can receive the Star Advertiser Digital Full Access subscription for $9.95 per month. Go to staradvertiser.com and click on subscribe. Use the code AHITHING.
Welcome back. Joining us now is Joce Sato, owner of 24-Hour Home Care Agency, which helps to provide in-home care service and care coordination. Joce, thanks so much for being here.
Hi, thank you.
So we are focusing today on veterans and making sure that they get the care that they deserve. But let's talk more broadly about your company and the kind of services you provide.
Okay, so we provide in-home care services. It's not limited to the home, so wherever that person or individual may call home. So we're still available to assist within facilities, senior living communities, and even some hospital settings as well.
Okay, and so these are folks who are elderly or maybe disabled and just need an extra hand in the house, or is this like high-grade medical care? What's the sort of the scale?
So we're considered non-medical, so we're additional to any medical care that the person may be receiving, but usually we would send like a nurse aide to provide just extra services for some of the activities of daily living, so like mobility, transferring, eating, bathing, dressing, things like that.
Oh, so important. Let's talk specifically now about veterans. What kind of hurdles do you see veterans getting into when it comes to making sure they get their right benefits to cover services like yours?
Yes, so what I see the most often, I was a former business consultant for a franchise home care agency, and I think one of the most difficult things are gathering the proper documents to be able to get the military records that they need. Because a lot of the time what I noticed is even in the school setting, so you'll do something called a FERPA request for school, but if it includes medical records, that requires a HIPAA release. And sometimes they can't include it because it's only educational related and there's no doctor on like a DOE campus. But same thing for military, is there's all different kinds of authorities within when you request those records. So it's Freedom of Information Act, Privacy Act, HIPAA, and FERPA as well. So it's kind of tough for our military. It's a lot.
Well, and especially when you're talking about someone who may be elderly and may not remember all the dates or have that documentation, and often they probably have a family member who's actually doing that bureaucratic work.
That's very stressful. I mean, even just me trying to learn all of this, it was a lot. I'm like, how do these families navigate? It's tough. Yeah.
So as they're trying to gather that documentation, what's some of the advice that you provide? What would you tell people about how to go about doing that?
I think just simplify things. So for this year 2023, it would be, was the veteran born before or after 1961? So if it's before, then the records are in NARA, the National Archives. And after, it's a slightly different process. You can still submit through National Archives. It may not be archived, but they'll give you guidance as to what you need to provide additional.
Okay, and if you have that documentation and you're able to prove service record, what kind of benefits are you entitled to?
Okay, so with the documentation we get back, which is called the DD-214, you would be entitled to healthcare benefits, health and wellness. So it's just things, it's a lot of different programs. So there's care within the community, and there's also different programs like Veterans Directed Care. So there's 2 different access routes for services. The one I see most common is the care in the community.
And I would imagine that the kind of care we're talking about is quite expensive. What level of coverage does this kind of would be covered? In other words, is it 100%? Is it half of the cost? You know, when a family's looking at this and trying to decide, is it really worth it to track all that down? What would you tell them?
I definitely think it's worth it, because with the services we provide in the home, so nurse aid services just within the home setting, private pay can go up to maybe like $30,000-$40,000 a month. And for these VA members, when their level of care increases and they submit additional information, their care level or what they're entitled to, their benefits, it adjusts aligned with that. So it's sometimes covered at 100%.
Wow, well, definitely worth it. All right, we've got a lot to talk about. We are just getting started. You're watching Get Your House in Order. We'll be back with more from Joce. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Veterans. Gathering the proper documents for VA funding for services can be daunting. Finding the proper documents for events in the past can be very tough. Navigating the medical and military bureaucracy is very difficult, and many times close relatives are the ones seeking such documents. Advice. Service records for veterans born before 1961 are with the National Archives and Records Administration, or NARA. NARA also provides guidance on acquiring records for veterans born after 1961. Documentation returned from NARA includes Form DD-214, entitling qualifying veterans with health and wellness benefits.
See Dr. Oda at HEC Medical Clinic Honolulu Specialist in laser weight loss. You can see the change losing 1 to 2 inches instantly. Pacific Spray Wash is Oahu's #1 trusted exterior cleaning service. We deliver a spotless job for all your pressure washing, roof cleaning, house washing, and solar panel cleaning.
Welcome back. We are speaking today with Joce Sato of 24-Hour Home Care Agency. Joce, when we left off, we were talking just about how expensive these benefits can be. I'm interested, is there a time limit when you're trying to figure out if you are eligible as to when you should register to qualify for these benefits?
Not necessarily. There's not necessarily a time limit or any time period where you need to, otherwise your benefits are gone. But it's better to do so as early as you can either remember or early as you can, because what's benefit that's going to be available for that veteran's lifetime is going to be shortened. So you want to be able to access as much as you can when you need it.
Okay. And do these benefits extend out to spouses or children, or are they just exclusively for the veteran themselves?
No, they're also inclusive of other family members as well. So that's a good thing. I'm really excited about the different programs they have for caregivers.
Wow, that's incredible. Now, let's talk about what service actually qualifies. Is anyone who served time in the military considered a veteran and eligible for these services, or is there like a tiered scale in terms of length of service and things like that?
Yeah, so there's a very strict criteria. It depends on your war period. It depends on sometimes where you served as well. And they'll ask you things for like location when you apply. So it's very individualized. It's not one set criteria. That's why I think some of our veterans, when they look at the website, it looks so overwhelming because the VA is trying their best to provide as much helpful information as you can, but it's kind of hard to digest all of that when it's so individualized per veteran.
Yeah, and so I would imagine that policies change and benefits can change. How do you suggest people keep most up to date into the services that they're eligible for?
I actually am not sure, because I know that the VA, they do send out mailers to qualified veterans and even veterans who are not enrolled in the system, trying to encourage them to go and enroll and start their benefits. But I think in Hawaii, there's definitely a lack of advocacy, and more needs to be done to create visibility, because according to census data, only about 25% of the eligible veterans in the state of Hawaii are registered in the VA system or even visited a VA facility. So that means about 79,000 of our veterans are not receiving any of their VA benefits despite being eligible.
Wow, and that means they're missing out on a lot of benefits. We have veterans on every island, of course, and I would think that access to services can be challenging, especially in the more remote parts of our state. How does the coverage vary in that regard, or what advice do you have for people who might live out, in a remote part of Hawaii Island or on Kauai, et cetera?
I don't think, that could be a limitation because there are different facilities and that may not be on Oahu, but may be someplace on the Big Island. But as far as the benefits, I would just say, just apply and see what's available. We provide help every step of the way. So even if someone's like, I want to apply, I don't know what to do, and then we can just see where they are in the process and assist from there.
Okay, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, but I want to dive a little deeper into this. A lot of times you're going to have a spouse or even a child doing this on their behalf. Mm-hmm. What advice do you have for that person as they try to navigate all of this?
For me, I think there's a lot that families can do. So despite a lot of businesses and I see TV commercials where they're saying, oh, if you're military, call this number. I think a lot families can do for themselves. So.
Okay, it sounds like the most important thing is really getting organized.
Yes.
Yeah, tell me a little bit more about that. Where to start?
Okay, so the first thing is getting that DD-214 form, which is the form that usually military members receive upon discharge when their time is up in the military. And from talking with veterans, a lot of veterans, I guess they have bad experiences. So with their war experiences, they want nothing to do with the military. They're glad they're done, so they don't keep this form. So that's also one of the difficulties. But the DD-214 can be, the DD-214, families can get that form by filling out Form S-180. Yeah, wow, it's available on the VA website.
You know all of this inside and out. You are definitely the expert. All right, we've got much more to talk about with Joce when we come back. We're going to talk about what having this kind of care can do for their quality of life. Stay with us.
Coverage. Private in-home services can be extremely costly. VA benefits can cover up to 100% of costs for qualifying veterans. Benefits. It's always better to claim benefits earlier rather than later. The earlier one accesses VA benefits, the longer they can use them. VA benefits also include immediate family members. The military has strict criteria to qualify for VA benefits. Only 25% of qualifying veterans in Hawaii have registered with the VA, which means over 75,000 veterans in Hawaii are not accessing benefits. 24-Hour Home Care Agency helps veterans access their VA benefits. Services. 24-Hour Home Care Agency specializes in providing elderly and disabled with non-medical services like assistance with mobility, eating, bathing, and dressing. These services are delivered wherever someone calls home at the time, including senior living facilities and sometimes hospitals.
For all your money needs, Hawaiian Financial Federal Credit Union is here for you. Visit hificu.com. Long's Drugs is always here for Hawaii, providing your family with local favorites, accessible health and wellness services to keep you safe and healthy. Make Long's a part of your day.
Welcome back. We are speaking now with Joce Sato of 24-Hour Home Care Agency. You know, Joce, what really struck me was this idea that we have, over 100,000 veterans in the state of Hawaii, and that 3/4 of them are not accessing this care. They are really missing out.
Yes.
Yeah, so tell me, having worked on the front lines with the families that actually do get these benefits, what kind of a difference does that make in their lives?
Oh, that makes a significant difference because with the VA benefits, they also have access to respite. So even if the family member is a primary caregiver, they have access to their VA benefits that if they need to do errands, they need to have a break, they have that to themselves. So they have that choice of still remaining that veteran's primary caregiver as well.
Yeah, we've done whole shows about caregivers and just the burnout that they can face.
Yes.
Having those few hours of respite, what does that do not only for the person who's receiving the care, but the person who's giving it?
It's amazing. I mean, I was working within the in-home care setting as well as a nurse aide. And I mean, I worked for maybe 18 hours straight just on someone who needed constant supervision. And just having a family member come and be like, okay, Joce, you can go have a snack. And it's short breaks. It's a lot.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about you. Why is this work so personal for you? Why are you passionate about providing this kind of care?
Oh, okay. So when I was about 7 or 8 years old, I promised my mom that I would take care of at home. She had cancer for as long as I can remember. And she passed maybe when I was 10 years old. So.
Yeah.
I never got to keep that promise, but I do want to try to offer that to other people as well.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. When you think about families who have gone through what your family went through, what do you think that this does for them, having that kind of resource? Why do you want to be that person for them?
I haven't really thought about that. It's just, I just see an area of need, and I was just thinking, I can't be the only one seeing the differences in care levels, because I noticed with my mom that the office setting where they do these exams and assessments is very different from home. And it's just my guess, but I'm pretty sure if they did these level of care and ADL assessments at home, it would differ significantly, because there's no barking dog in the office or any of the distractions, everyday distractions at home that veterans and seniors may face.
Yeah. When you are able to provide these services as the person and make those connections and do that for families, that must be very rewarding for you as well.
It's fun. I love organizing. I just love organizing. So it's just fun to help families like that.
Given the perspective that you have and the work that you do, I wonder, when you're trying to help a family, a lot of folks can just feel so overwhelmed. They know that their parent needs care, or their loved one needs care, or they themselves need care, but they've really put off these decisions and these conversations and tracking down all the paperwork that we talked about. But what advice do you have for those folks? Because it can just feel like too much not wanting to deal with it. Why deal with it early rather than late?
I think deal with it, because I mean, it's okay to be frustrated, it's okay to be stressed out. Just the step that they're talking to somebody about it. So just anyone, because you never know what connections that other person may have or what their knowledge base is. So the more people communicate about their difficulties, I think the more efforts will be placed into finding solutions. So.
Yeah, and when you talked about the cost, I mean, that can also be pretty daunting, and people can think, well, I can't afford it. But if you are a veteran, there may be a path.
Yes.
Yeah, tell us about that.
So even some service members who have not, are not considered a veteran, they still may have different access points for benefits as well. So through, for veterans who are already in the system, or even if maybe there still might be time to do the eligibility criteria, but August 9th is a deadline for the PACT Act. The toxic exposures with the VA. So they would go to www.va.gov/PACT to check out some of the additional benefits the VA is offering.
Yeah, I think it just feels like, people just don't put this off. They feel like they don't want to deal with it. But, final question today, what advice do you have for families on how to get started and how to start to take this on?
I think a good start would be their primary care physician. Just having that discussion with them and some of their difficulties. And I think physicians are pretty good about identifying which areas that they may qualify for. So.
Okay, a good place to start, and then come have a conversation with you. Thank you so much for being here today. We really learned so much. Remember, you can always find us on YouTube, watch the show again, or listen as a podcast wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Yanji Denise. Until next time, take care and aloha.